Okay, starting the recording. Okay, welcome to the 9th Annual Black Doctoral Network and the panel discussion, Nanotechnologies, Attraction, Demographics, and Individual Career Commitment, which will air on October 29, 2021 between 11:35 and 11:50 a.m. I had the pleasure of speaking with my colleagues, Adeshwa Mashalugo and Balaji Sadiku at the Joint School of Nanoscience and Nanoengineering in Greensboro, North Carolina. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it because 15 minutes can go by fast. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hopefully willing. What are your academic backgrounds?
Okay, I studied petroleum and gas engineering in my undergraduate from University of Lagos in Nigeria.
Okay.
For me, I have, similar to Adeshewa, I have a bachelor's in petroleum engineering also, and a master's in petroleum geoscience from Pan-African University. Right now, studying a PhD in nanoengineering in GSNN.
Okay, we're going to get into some of that a little bit later. My background is I got my undergraduate in engineering physics from North Carolina A&T back before either of you were on the planet, 1984. I started out as an engineering math major, and I went in the Air Force after that. How do you recall some of your earliest memories related to STEM? And this goes from 1, no recall at all, 2, vaguely, 3, 1 significant incident, 4, several incidents, and 5, always in STEM.
I think my earliest memories is vague, it's very vague. I don't have much, apart from my secondary school, that's high school. Before that is vague knowledge of science or STEM as a whole.
Yeah, I'll say the same. I'll go with two vaguely. I vaguely remember. I guess I'm just in STEM for a number of reasons, but I vaguely remember the major reason why I went into STEM.
I remember an explosion. I did a chemistry experiment in my room, and there was this huge flash, and it blackened the ceiling. And my mother said, "You need to go in there and talk to your son right now."
How old were you then?
I was 7.
Yeah, I didn't get to try some of those things till I was much older, like till like my teenage ages.
Of those things
yeah, so that's why I say vaguely. I probably did some funny things, but I don't remember many of them at this age.
Okay, well, we'll get into more of that in the other questions as it follows. How would you define any early influences in your interest in STEM? No influences at all, pretty much self-directed interest, limited influences, some influences, many influences, or 5 influences in STEM from a person you admire?
For me, it is more of self-directed interest. I went into STEM because that was what I was good at. Like I was good based on calculation. So I picked the department that I know had a lot of calculation. So that was how I went into STEM.
For me, I would say it has to do with like influences of some people. Because I always had economics as my backup and some of those management courses as another interest area. But a couple of people convinced me to actually like go into STEM because of my strong mathematical background and also my dad played a major role because he's a vet doctor, so he does a lot of biology related work, and I see those every day. I mean, they were pretty interesting. And I had an engineer uncle who would actually coach me regularly in maths. So those actually played major roles in my decision. Reggie, what of you?
So I had a cousin who got his undergraduate in electrical engineering from A&T. He got an MBA, and then I had another cousin who got an undergraduate, coincidentally, in agricultural economics from A&T, and he got his PhD from Michigan State. they were also very influential in my coming to A&T. As a matter of
Oh,
fact, they pretty much insisted. I think they would have beaten me up had I went anywhere else.
oh,
So,
wow. Oh, that sounds good.
so how would you gauge your earliest formative activities? Did we, this may be repetitive, but were they non-existent, limited activities, balance between academics and other activities? You were majority STEM and a few more activities, or you were just completely a nerd and immersed in STEM?
Um, for me, I think it's balanced of academics. Most of the STEM stuff I have are from school, from academic stuff. I hardly haven't do any activities outside school. So all my STEM knowledge is from school, practicals, stuff like that.
But for me, it's a balance between academics and other activities. So excuse me. I had a couple of activities I was involved in while in high school. It's called secondary school in Nigeria. So while in high school, yeah, those activities were actually like very like formative in my growth and decision to go into STEM. Reggie, you want to like,
So
give us
my
your?
activities outside of STEM was I was in ROTC. I actually got to brigade commander of Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, and that was the highest ranking. I was the highest ranking cadet in the city, and I did that because the previous brigade commander had insulted me by saying your kind would never get to that rank. So that is what drives me. When you insult me, I have to prove you wrong. But my other activities at A&T was I was on the school karate team, and my calculus instructor also happened to be my karate instructor. So I had to make a passing grade in his class at least.
Yeah, that sounds very good.
So how would you gauge your knack for fixing things? Are you one, all thumbs? Or two, I call an expert or friend who's better? Three, I can read instructions. Four, I have a knack for fixing things. And five, I'm a mechanical genius.
I can read instructions. Yes, I do some things myself as far as there's an instruction sheet, but there are some stuff I can't do myself, especially if it requires a little bit of strength. You can see this hand is not strong. So those kind of situations, I call my friends or I call people that I know. But when it comes to small things, like of recent, I helped my roommate set up all our appliances that she bought, bed and stuff. I was one that helped her to set everything up. So
Yeah, for me, I like to follow instructions. That's what I do usually. I just read instructions and then follow whatever is in there so as to not damage whatever equipment or tool I'm working with. It's just being careful, even if I know how to operate it. I always like to read the instructions actually.
I
What
will
about
go
you?
with I will go with the read instructions, but I've always had this kind of knack for fixing things because one of the things my father bought me was a junior tool set. So he was encouraging me to tinker. So this relates to what I just said. Did you own any science or engineering related toys as children? And if so, what were they?
I don't remember having any toy at all. I think I was more of the child that go out to play than staying inside and playing with an object. I don't think I did that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember so much about science, but I did a lot of puzzles and some I'm trying to remember the name of it right now, but it was more like solving puzzles most times and maybe playing around with quantitative reasoning. Those were my hobbies when I was much younger. So yeah, uh, that's me. You?
Well, I would say, well, you heard about the chemistry set and the tool
Mhm.
set. I also had a microscope, a telescope, and a rector set, which was kind of like Legos with metal. And I remember making a robot that walked into my mother's living room while she was having a bridge meeting, and everybody screamed because they were like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "It's a robot. It's just walking."
Interesting.
So why did you choose nano engineering over nanoscience? After all, the school is called the Joint School. You could have gone to UNCG, but you decided to go to the A&T side. Why was that?
Uh, I don't think I have any specific reason for that, because during the time I was applying for it, I was looking at NCAT, North Carolina A&T. I was not looking at joint school itself. I just know there's a nano engineering in NCAT, so I didn't understand the dynamics of nanoscience belong to this school, nano engineering belong to this school. I applied based on the school, but I'm happy I applied for nano engineering because I'm coming from an engineering background. So it's more of, it's still within my field, it's still within the way I reason, the way I think of things. Yeah.
For me, actually the word engineering was the difference. For nanoscience sounded more like I'll be doing all sciences, and engineering, being an engineer by training, I was like, okay, this may be the right fit. I would probably do a lot of mathematics here again, which I would find very interesting relative to just non-serious mathematics based courses. That's actually my major motivation. And of course, A&T is a Black school, so I knew like I would fit right in compared to a predominantly white institution. What about you, Reggie?
Well, A&T was home for me. And engineering physics is basically just applied physics. So you ended up taking a lot of different courses. So I've taken mechanical engineering courses, electrical engineering courses, industrial engineering courses. I took a few economics courses. Didn't take Latin, but I ended up trying to self-study as I got older. So to me, nano engineering was more of an extension of applied engineering. It's just at a very, very small scale. So both of you worked previously coming to graduate school. What can you say what your previous industry was again?
I worked as a field engineer on an oil field, like an offshore field.
For me, I had some internship with Chevron for like 6 months, but after I graduated university, I decided to try entrepreneurship. I tried the family business, which is like poultry farming, for some time before coming here. I also tried starting a little startup in Nigeria. It's called Student Shop. It was the target was to just create like goods for students at the best available prices, and it's no longer running right now because I'm no longer in the country. But those were the things I tried my hands on before coming down here.
I had a lot of different experiences after the Air Force. I worked at Motorola, Advanced Micro Devices. I taught martial arts for a number of years. That was very stressful. Took all the fun out of it. Then I taught high school math and physics. And then I wound up back in the semiconductor industry and applied materials before I came to JSNN. So your previous industry wasn't related to nanotechnology. So why did you leave your previous industry?
I left petroleum industry for several reasons. One of them being that the field is very narrow. For me, it is too specific. With the background of petroleum engineering, if I'm going to do any master's PhD, I need to focus on one aspect of petroleum engineering, reservoir engineering. And in terms of career, that is too specific for me and is very competitive, meaning other people from other fields can actually come and still apply for the same job you can only apply for. So I needed something to help me move away from being specific into petroleum. So that is where the nano engineering came in. Since I knew that with my background, I can easily fit into nano engineering, and in the process of fitting into nano engineering, I can learn about every other field, which I'll be able to work in later on when I graduate.
Actually, Reggie, the petroleum engineering industry, like it's very much actually, the petroleum industry is very like linked to nanotechnology. You'll be surprised right now what's going on in the petroleum industry. There are several things that nanotechnology could fix in the oil industry. The current pollution, the current spill in California, those nanotechnology could be applied there. We have things like talking about like well casings and other materials being used in the industry for separation, possibly using some nanofibers and things like that, like oil water separation in the from production. So there are several phases that we could actually apply nanotechnology to. Personally, I share the same sentiments as Adeshewa. It's a streamlined industry, unfortunately, but that's not the only reason why I actually picked nanoengineering. Nanoengineering would actually broaden my knowledge of several fields, and if I apply what I learned in nanoengineering to the oil industry, then I could solve a lot of problems being faced in the oil industry right now. We have so many problems in the oil industry that nanotechnology could fix. And of course, it could fix problems in several other industries. So yes, that's why I'm actually here.
So I picked nanotechnology largely because, again, I said when I get challenged, I do things. So my last job, the plant was closing because the ownership of the facility had changed. And so I found a job within my company in Texas, but it was going to require me to do one of three things that I did not want to do. I was going to have to take a $20,000 pay cut. I was going to have to take a demotion that I didn't think I deserved. And I was going to have to move myself. And that one of the things that I tell people is that there is no guarantee. I'm not saying that you will immediately lose your job, but you kind of protect yourself when the company moves you to wherever you're going, because they have to get their benefits from the IRS for moving you. And so it protects your job for a year. So you have to at least be employed for a solid year. And it cost a bunch of money just to move from New York to Greensboro. I can't imagine what I would have had to pay to move from New York to Texas. So moving to Greensboro to at least get a master's degree, that made a lot of sense to me. And for the sake of time, I'm going to cut off the last question, but I have really enjoyed this panel discussion, and I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it at the Black Doctoral Network. And I want to thank both of you for participating in this.
Oh, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, it was great.